YouTube'ga başlayayımız. Live stream'i. İltimas mikrofonuyla uç otursun.
Hello, everybody. We are happy to see you.
Hello, everyone. Please keep your microphones muted. If I see if somebody unmutes himself or herself, I will just remove them from the room and then you will have to watch it on YouTube. Okay? It's difficult to monitor you. Okay? Some people I'm muting and then you keep unmuting. Okay? So please keep your microphones muted. Thank you. Okay, so it's time. Saodat, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. I think we can start.
Okay, I'll nod it up and then I'll continue.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. So we have very exciting topic today, strategies for CEFR-based exam preparation. As you know, it is a national exams based on Common European Framework of Reference, and it's a kind of very popular and essential exams that many students and teachers have to take. And thanks Saodat for initiating and organizing this event today. And thank you, Danyar, for agreeing to talk about more about this. So over to you, Saodat. Saodat will be moderating today's
Hello,
event.
everybody. How nice to see all of you here today again. Today, we are going to facilitate a very special webinar on how to get prepared for CFR-based examinations. So first of all, let me just quickly jot down the ideas about what is CFR actually. First of all, CFR is Common European Framework of Reference, and it is international standard for identifying the language abilities of not only learners but also teachers. So, you know, nowadays around the world, many examinations are based on CFR. Because CFR has a 6-point scale beginning from A1 ending with C2, and it can help the learners to identify their language abilities. And Beginning from 2012, with the proclamation of the president in Uzbekistan as well, we launched some NSFL examinations, which are also based on CEFR framework, I mean international standard. So beginning from that time, many teachers are helping others, not only students, but also other teachers to get prepared for these kind of examinations. Now, today we have invited one person who is working really hard on the preparation of this examination. He is helping not only the students, but also a lot of teachers to get right to the point and get good marks along with certification according to CFR based examination, which is called NSFL. Today's facilitator is Donyar Aslanov, who is not only an English teacher, but also the person who is dealing with NSFL CFR-based examinations, as well as IELTS exam. And moreover, he is working hard to prepare the teachers and help the teachers to get prepared for CFR-based exams, which allows all the teachers to get some bonuses for their salaries. Now, Donyar, over to you. Today, we are waiting something special from you. And please be generous with your tips according to strategies and CFR-based examination. Donyar? Donyar, unmute yourself.
Sorry. Hello, everybody again. First of all, let me express my gratitude towards the organization Mental Hub for giving me such opportunity to show all I know about this particular examination. Really, thank you for inviting me, guys. And as our host, Ms. Saudat said, I am Donar Aslanov, who teaches IELTS, CFR, and grammar, and all related with English courses. And I've been working as a tutor for more than 10 years now. And for 3 years, I have been teaching both applicants, students, and teachers to get their desirable marks from CFR exam, which is also known like National System of Foreign Language Assessment. And today my talk will be about some very helpful tips and strategies to help you get the mark you want to get, at least 100, I hope.
Thank you.
So let me start my presentation now. Oops. So first of all, let's find out the high questions of today's agenda. Our webinar overview will answer 4 main questions. The first one is, what is the NSFL examination itself? And the second one is closer look at each section or paper of the test. And then we will discuss some tips and strategies that are quite helpful and practical, of course. And then at the end, I will share some sources and materials so that you can prepare for your examination effectively. So the first question of today, what is the NSFL? So NSFL stands for National System of Foreign Language Assessment, which is also known like national testing, which is organized by our governmental state testing, and it has 2 options that you choose depending on your aim. The first one is salary bonus exam, and the second one is level testing. So salary bonus exam is suitable for teachers. So guys, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Please.
Yeah. Donyar, you can continue.
Sorry.
You are audible in a perfect way. Thank you.
I see. Thank you. So as I've told you, the first one is salary bonus test, which is suitable for teachers to get some bonuses on their salary. And the second one is level checking test. It's for mostly applicants to have an opportunity to be free of their foreign language testing on their entrance exam, and for someone who wants to identify their approximate level, let's say B2, C1, and etc. B version has 5 reference levels, unlike the European framework. In the European framework, we have 6, yeah? From A1 to C2, but in our system, national system, we have the maximum C1 level available. So I have written down the approximate level. Let's say A1 stands for the students whose level is beginner, and A2 is elementary, and so on till advanced level. So for B2, most, let's say, bonuses will start for applicants. They are asked to provide a certificate of B2 for their entrance examinations, or for tutors who work on some places which is not governmental, yes, non-governmental place. And C1 also for someone who wants to have advanced level. It's a proof of one's level, let's say. And as my talk is about our monthly salary bonus, I have to focus on monthly salary bonus mostly, but it doesn't mean that those who want to take B2 or C1 examination won't benefit from it. No, guys, I have tried to do both things. So there are 5 sections in the test, both for salary bonus test and for level checking test, and they are listening, reading, lexical and grammar competence, writing, and speaking part. Each will give you maximum 30 marks from 1 to 30. So even the speaking part will give you 30 marks. So in total, you have chance to score 150. And for teachers, there is one regulation that each section should be at least 15 points, yeah, like 50% of right answers. But in the writing section, they should score at least 18, which means 60% of right answers. But in the level test, it doesn't matter. Imagine one person scores 1 from the lexical and grammar competence, but still is able to score 90, they will pass the exam. But in the salary bonus exam, you have to build up the language for each section. Each section should be at least 50% mastered, which is, of course, a little bit difficult. That's why. And the test itself continues in 3 stages. In the first one, your listening, reading, and lexical and grammar competence result will be announced. If you have marked successfully from each of them by 50%, you will be allowed to be checked your writing as well. And then during a week, you will be announced another result of your writing. If you have done it well as well, then the final stage, speaking stage, comes. But in the level checking exam, you don't have to think about it. As soon as you take your written examinations, you have, let's say, 3 days for preparation for your speaking. But for the teachers, they have to wait for 2 or 3 weeks, I'm afraid. And there is one note for teachers, because I am often asked from teachers, can I take this exam? Yeah, most teachers who have just started their work ask me this question quite a lot. So yes, you can take the exam if you want for your monthly salary bonus, but there is one regulation. For the last 3 years, you have been able to pass your training course for 144 hours. By training course, I mean Malaka Osherish. Yes, you should be taking it for 3 years, and the total hours should be more than 144. Do not forget it. Yes, in the fourth year of your teaching, you can take the exam, but it won't give you any bonuses. You may pass it. It only gives you the confidence, nothing more, but no any bonuses, I'm afraid. Please take into account this note as well. It's the fourth regulation, the fourth step, I mean, for you. If you want to anyway check your level, it's better to do it with level checking if you are a new teacher. This is my suggestion. And what else? So, so we have two types of salary bonus depending on the place you live. If you live in the city in the town, you will be given 15% of salary bonus of your total salary. But if you live in the countryside, far from of the center, you will be given 30%. Like for example, in Horizon or such places. Yeah, and I have attached the certificate of teachers. It's like this one. I hope with the help of this seminar, you will able to crash your exam and take such certificate. Maybe you send it to me like, thank you, donor, for your suggestions and so on. So here is the bigger version. So everything is straightforward, I think. All details are given, provided, and there is no any photo, unfortunately. But in the level checking, you will be given the special place for your photo as well. But for teachers, no need to think about their photos. So, and now let's look deeply into all sections one by one by starting listening, because that day, first of all, you will do the listening test. In the listening test, we have 4 parts, guys. The first one, questions may vary sometimes according to the people who compiled it. Yes, compiled it. Part 1 may be matching speakers or answering the questions. There might be some dialogues and some questions like multiple choice. That's why be ready for both of them. Sometimes we have matching speakers, or sometimes we have answering questions. And luckily, each part of the test, each audio of the test will be played twice. You will listen it twice. Compared to other examinations, it's one advantage. Please take advantage of it. And in the second part, you will be given true or false statements. You should identify whether it's true or false according to the recording. And then sometimes, again, we may have multiple choice questions then. Not true, false, but multiple choice questions. And here is one question, commonly asked questions. Will I receive not given option as well? No, you won't. You will be given only true or false, which is also good because some candidates find it difficult to identify difference between false and not given. That's why they make it a little bit easier for candidates. And in the both part 3 and part 4, you will be given multiple choice questions as well. Now we will look them deeply one by one. So you may see one example of matching speakers. You will be given 10 speakers. 10 speakers will speak about one particular thing, and you have to match from these statements. Maybe question number 1, speaker number 1, mentioned about I don't listen to music as much as I used to. You have to just match them by their speakers. You will be given 2 extra statements, which makes the task a little bit difficult, but it's also not that much tough to deal with. I will demonstrate it in practice in a minute. And we have, as I said, answering the question section. I didn't mention it like multiple choice questions because you will be given one exact question that day, and then you should answer it. Let's say you hear a man talking on a train. What is the man's job? So the question says, what is the man's job? We should identify it. You have chance to listen it twice. That's why don't be that much afraid of it. It's quite doable if you want. And then we have, as I said, true and false tasks. There is no not given. That's why no need to worry that much. You should find out, there will be some statements. You should find out whether it's true or not, depending on the track or the audio you are listening to. And we have multiple choice questions, and the questions become a little bit difficult in part 3 and part 4. Please don't be demotivated, but it's so. You should be mentally prepared for such changes. I mean, the varying of level of difficulty from part to part. And the same in the part 4, I didn't mention it. The same in the part 4, we have multiple choice questions, almost the same, but the speaker's role will change. In the part 3, one person will talk about, let's say, about the lecture, maybe something else, or we have the interview section. Two people will talk. You have to answer the multiple choice questions, listening to them. And my useful and practical tips and strategies. Tip number 1, please. It may sound a little bit weird, but you should be aware of some high-level adjectives for your part 1. Yeah. How come, you may think, but still the first thing you should know is lots of adjectives, because in the part 1, in the listening part 1, the track asks you to find out the feeling of the speaker in such questions. Question here says, how did the boy feel when he got to the city? You see, how did the boy feel? Feel means the feeling of that person, which means we have to know some adjectives related to the feeling. A says he felt happy, B says he felt sorry, and C says he felt depressed. So it's quite straightforward, yeah, options, I mean. And then now let's do it from the relevant part of our track. Here, after arriving in the city, the boy was chuffed with what he was seeing, yes? Chuffed with, I underlined it. Sorry, I bolted in red. Chuffed with, if you know these idiom, it means pleased or happy. Then you have chance to score 1+ mark for your performance. Yeah, chuffed with, which means being pleased. That's why please be aware of some adjectives. At least 2 questions will be asking about feeling of the speaker. And the second tips and strategies for today's listening part. Yes, be good at thinking analytically, guys. This tip will do for the whole test, especially for the reading and listening part, because unlike other tests, you have to build up your critical thinking ability, because most questions demand you to think deeply. So compared with the IELTS, most questions are straightforward, are direct to understand. But unfortunately, in the CFR exam, you should find out the meaning in, between lines. It's a little bit difficult. Now, let me show it in practice as I did. So here question says, you hear someone talking about the course. How did they feel about it? Again, feeling. But here we should find it according to the meaning. So A, angry, satisfied, disappointed. So relevant part of the track says, it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't quite as I expected. Mind you, it was my blah, blah, blah. I can't really, sorry guys, I can't see the right place. Oops. Now it's better. So what I expected, mind you, it was my own fault for not reading the course description carefully enough. So I can't really complain. You see, the person is hinting that he's disappointed, but he's not telling about it directly. Everyone else was pretty pleased with it, but it was a bit of a waste of time from my point of view. I suppose I should really have gone for something different. So all of these things hint for the disappointment. So the right answer is C. You shouldn't expect to hear something the same because in most cases you should be prepared for critical thinking, either in the listening part or in the reading part. They ask you to be, let's say, critical thinker. And thank you. And number 3, yeah, be ready for the paraphrased language. Yeah, in the CEFR, there are lots of questions which have paraphrased language. I mean, they use mostly synonyms. Yeah, that's why you should be aware of lots of synonyms, but the synonyms shouldn't be like everyday English, but mostly narrative style. Yes, CFR exam covers narrative style, not scientific, not academic. Sometimes we may have some scientific or academic questions, yeah, texts or passages or tracks, but mostly they are quite narrative style. That's why know lots of narrative words. And always try to eliminate one answer. You know, by eliminating, I mean you should cross out one wrong answer. You can easily find out it by listening to the track once. As I have already mentioned, you will listen to the track twice. That's why in the first time when you listen, immediately eliminate one wrong answer. It will help you quite a lot, believe me, guys. Some people, although they listen to the track twice, they again focus on 3 questions in the second try as well. It will baffle you a little bit, yes? It will confuse you. That's why immediately eliminate the wrong answer. So, and we have 3 common mistakes while preparing for the listening part of the test. First of all, not taking a course. You know, I have put a question mark here because by taking a course, I mean, it depends on the level of your English. Some teachers regretfully have fairly good English. That's why they need courses. They cannot do the tests by only self-study. They should take a course. It's bitter truth, I'm afraid. That's why if your level is reasonably good, I mean, it's enough for passing the test, it's okay to self-prepare. But if your level is rather low, please take your course, spend some money, it will worse, really. And the second one, testing oneself a lot. This mistake happens among lots of learners. No matter what exam they are taking, they are mostly obsessed with testing themselves. They print out lots of practice tests, let's say from the IELTS test or from the CEFR test, it doesn't matter. They got busy with doing practice, only practice tests, and they count their right answers, their scores. It won't help you guys because by examination we have only one thing, the language. That's why if your language is good, overall language is good, you can pass any exam ever, believe me. That's why work on intake, guys. Learn lots of information and have lots of better understanding, better insight into of your language. Identify your weakness, work on them, guys. It's better in the listening part, in the reading, in all sections. I mean, in all papers, you have to have a strong language. And number 3, for listening, using wrong materials. I see lots of teachers or students, any candidates, let's say, using the wrong materials for their listening parts. They use IELTS practice test, which is completely wrong, guys. I'm afraid it won't help you. As I have already mentioned, for the IELTS test, the the full info is either for academic or scientific research materials. But for the CFR, you should listen to, let's say, stories, maybe a little bit narrative interviews, yeah, about success of some person. But anyway, for improving your overall listening ability in the CFR exam, please do not use IELTS materials. It won't help you. Thank you. And so in this case, how can I improve my listening ability? So it's a little bit time consuming, but it will help you in the end. You will benefit it in the end. I always suggest two practical ways. The first one is dictation. If your level is a little bit lower, please take some piece of CD or audio and put it and stop in a sentence and dictate it from word to word. This technique is a bit boring technique, but anyway, it will help you to understand word by word everything you are listening to. That's why spend some time for your boosting the test. And the second one, if your level is good and you are getting, let's say, 15 or 17 right answers and you want more, please take notes. Note taking is powerful strategy, but for this one you should have better understanding of the language. When you listen to the audio, you should understand at least 50 or 60% of the information, then you will be capable of taking notes. If the number of your correct answers is less than 15, I recommend you dictation. So please write down these two strategies for improving your listening performance. I think it's done with the listening section. And now, yes, I was right, reading part. So reading part. We have 3 parts in the reading section. Each part has 10 questions in total, and we have 30 questions in total, sorry, and advised suggested time is 60 minutes. Do not spend more than 60 minutes on your reading testing. So we have 3 parts, and the first part will be matching headings, like IELTS, but it's quite easier, guys, a lot easier even, because the length of the paragraphs is not that much high or long, 2 or 3 lined, yeah, lucky for us. And the second part, we have multiple choice questions. And here we have one narrative story, story of somebody, or taken from some novels maybe, which is quite common in the CFR exam. They mostly give us a part of one novel, let's say one chapter of the novel, and you should answer the questions, multiple choice questions. And in the part 3, we have 2 different tasks to deal with. The first one, again, multiple choice questions. It will be on one scientific test, and this text. And the second one, sentence endings. We should find the sentence endings and match them with the track. Sorry, with the test. I'm a little bit worried now. Yeah, and how can we have a higher mark for getting a higher mark in this particular section? First of all, we should have strong vocabulary, but yeah, mostly our vocabulary must be for narrative style, yeah, narrative language of the English language. And then we should improve our critical thinking because almost 70 or let's say 65% of the questions ask you to think critically, which is a little bit difficult. Yeah, the passages themselves are quite short, but the questions make you think about them a lot. And the third one, know all helpful methods to deal with each of those question types. Yeah, I mean multiple choice questions, matching headings questions, and sentence ending questions. You should know all methods, approach to deal with such questions, and then your work will get twice easier. Yes, I'm done with the reading part again. And sort one, lexical and grammar competence, which is considered to be the hardest part for teachers. I mean for everybody. So lexical and grammar competence, which means vocabulary and grammar part. So again, we have three parts in this section. The questions are equal, 10 to 10 for every single part. We have 30 questions, and you should spend no more than 30 minutes. I think this time is well enough for answering this particular paper. So we have three parts, as I said. Part one, multiple choice questions, A, B, C, D, yeah. And the second one, error identification, the hardest part among those three ones. And again, third one will be about either about multiple choice questions or filling gaps. As I said, sometimes questions will vary. So here I have put part one and part two for us. As I said, the first part will be dedicated on matching headings question, multiple choice questions, A, B, C, D. So here we have to know not only grammar, but also some phrasal words, some idioms, yeah, some collocations, because it asks us to do so. Some people get obsessed with learning only grammar rules, but no, at the same time, you should know, as I said, grammar, collocations, idioms, phrasal verbs. That's why this part is a little bit difficult to cope with. And then we have error identification part. You will be given 10 sentences. Sometimes those sentences are from one whole passage, or sometimes they are different. So you will be given 10 separate sentences and underlined 4 parts. 3 parts will be finding about the mistakes. Let's say A part, there is one underlined thing, has been. You should think about it, whether it's grammatically correct, use it or not. Or if you have some doubts about these ones, you immediately start thinking, yeah, all things have been put correctly. That's why I have to choose D. If you are sure, or if you are a little bit confident that and there is no any mistake, you should choose D option, which means no mistake. It's a little bit difficult. And for short one, we have one whole text, and then some places of it, namely 10 places, 10 words are taken from the text. That's why we have to fill them again by putting their places. But again, we have 2 more options. That's why it's also somehow difficult to find out which two ones are odd or not enough and not necessary. That's why we should first of all think carefully whether we need F or H. It also the second difficult part of grammar and lexical competence. And again, the question why this section is so hard, so difficult, I'm afraid because it demands lots of knowledge, because there is no any solid rule or any solid limitation of knowledge you should know. The questions may be taken from anywhere. That's why it's difficult. It requires a huge background knowledge of the teacher or applicant. And how can we deal with this part effectively? Yes, For number one suggestion for my followers is I always tell my students, my followers, anybody to do part two at the end. You know, part two was about finding errors, yes, error identification part. That's why I do this at the end, because some candidates start worrying, start depressing. That's why start being depressed. That's why they lose their confidence and start thinking about anything, thinking about other wrong options, which will eventually affect their overall score. That's why leave part two at the end, for the end, and then you can easily, when you have done with everything, you can dive into it. And the second one, in each parts, please read the whole text. Please do not start the test, but be acquainted with the text, get familiarized, understand overall meaning of the test. It will help you to find the right answers quite easier. Yeah. Some people just start, okay, it's question number one, I have to choose one right answer, and then I have to move to the second one. No, do not do this one. If you are informed about the whole test and you have some background knowledge of the text already, you can find, let's say, 3 or 5 even more correct answers. And please don't think deeply. I call this part 3 and 1 because it's quite obvious that three options are naively wrong. You can easily identify them if you have enough knowledge. In the test itself, yeah, let's take our entrance exam. Yeah, applicants get stuck in choosing 2 answers, yeah, whether it's A or C. But in the CFR examination, it's quite obvious that 3 answers are totally wrong. Only one answer is okay. Those 3 answers will, of course, confuse you. That's why there is no 2 and 2 style. We have 3 complete wrong answers. If you have enough knowledge, you can easily identify them. That's why you shouldn't think deeply. Look at the questions as they are, and of course, don't panic and don't stop. Some candidates stuck at one question and think over. If you think about one question more than 1 minute, please leave that question and move. You have around 3 hours for the whole test. That's why you can come back to the that question a little bit later. One question may affect badly to other right answers as well, because we lose confidence. We are out of our element if we panic, if we stuck at one question. That's why don't destroy your motivation, don't kill it. And of course, always double check your answers. You will have enough time for it, I beg you, because if you follow all strategies, and of course number 4, if you don't panic and don't stop, you move to the question to from question to the question, and then you can easily have extra minutes to double check your answers. That's why be confident in yourself. Thank you. And now, writing part. Most teachers or candidates come for the writing part to my lessons. And now we will identify why. So we have 2 tasks like general IELTS, writing task 1 and task 2. So the same thing here. We have 2 tasks. In the task 1, you are asked to write one letter. It should be informal letter, it shouldn't be informal letter, it should be formal letter, not to your friend or someone. You should address to someone in one authority. That's why bear in mind that task 1 will be formal letter for both salary bonus and level checking B2 and C1 examinations. You are given in the task 1 formal letters, and in the task 2 you have essays to write. So for task 1 the candidates will be evaluated maximum 10 points, and for task 2 20 points. So is it possible to score 30 out of 30? Yes, like 9 in IELTS exam. Yes, in the IELTS exam it's quite difficult, even impossible, to score 9 in writing section, but lucky for us, yeah, it's a little bit easier for us to score 30 out of 30 in the writing sections. Most of my students have proven it. So how did they do this? We will talk about it in some minutes. And here we have the firstly letter. Yeah, you order it and you checkbook, blah blah blah blah, and the first one in the italics will be your topic, and then we have task. Yeah, write a letter to the manager complaining about the bad service in your letter. So complaining, it means we should write complaint letter. It's our task, and we have following the task bullet points. Yes, bullet points. We have here two ones. The first one, say when and how you ordered the checkbook, and the second bullet point, ask how much longer you will have to wait, blah blah blah. So bullet points dictate you or show you the right way you should approach while writing your letter. And here as well, one common question, can I put my name at the end of my letter? No, because our instruction clearly says that do not need to write any addresses. So please don't take your time, don't waste of your time putting your names. And always please start your letter with dear sir or madam, because you will be asked to do so. In all instructions, the bottom point is the same. Do not need to write any addresses or do not put any addresses, and begin your letter as follows: dear sir or madam. And you should write at least 150 words. And here's again another question: what if I write lesser or less? Yeah, less than 150 words. Yeah, it affects your overall score from the letter section, task 1, because let's say for 1 to 10 missing words, they normally take out 1 score. I have heard about it. Imagine you wrote 142, yeah, 142 words, and the examiner, if your writing is 10, yes, it looks like perfect, they anyway have to take 1 point because you haven't addressed it to the task achievement section. So thank you. And common mistakes while writing the letters. Lots of people think that they are good at English. That's why it's a piece of cake to write letters. But please don't underestimate this part, because lots of people, even the people who have scored 7 in IELTS, make those 5 mistakes, or most of them. So the first one, tone. By tone, you should understand the type of your letter. Is it formal letter or informal letter? Lots of teachers, lots of candidates, lots of people address to the reader in an appropriate way. They mostly write informal style. Yeah, they use informal style, like they shorten the word, like I don't know. You shouldn't write the word in the shortened version. It must be whole. I do not. Yeah, it's also one regulation of formal letter. That's why please pay attention to the tone of your writing. And of course, sometimes by tone, people will start their letters in a rude way, yes, and they finish in a polite way, or vice versa. Do not do this, please. If your letter's language is polite, please be sure that the whole letter must be in that particular way. Do not add or do not mix two types in one tone, please. And of course, second one, wrong paragraphing. To my surprise, lots of people, even teachers, do not know two types or two styles of paragraphing. We will talk about it in 5 minutes. I will show two exact ways of paragraphing. It also causes some mistakes. Sometimes examiners again take away 1 point for not putting right paragraphs. And of course, development. By development, you should develop all asked bullet points. Bullet points are mapped to your letter. I think you remember what bullet point is. So you should address to each bullet point. You shouldn't miss any of them or add something from yourself. Number 4, relevancy. By relevancy, yes, not addressing to all points or giving some out of statements. It's also wrong. Let's say for bullet points, some candidates spent up to 60 words and they add another 40 words for out of language, for out of things which are not relevant to the topic. That's why, please, we have the criteria of checking your writing for its relevancy as well. And grammar and vocabulary, it also happens. And if you have some minor grammar mistakes, it's okay. Sometimes I know some examiners who don't pay attention to that part very strictly. If you have some minor grammar mistakes, it depends on the level of your grammar vocabulary mistakes. Instead of using ing, you should use to version, infinitive version, to do something. And from grammar part, it's a little bit confusing rule. Yeah, it's okay. They will forgive you because lots of people cannot fully understand the difference between them. They think themselves and leave it out. But if you have quite common grammar or vocabulary mistakes, instead of saying advice, you say advice, or after advice, when we should put ing, we put to. It's a little bit serious problem. That's why please don't get depressed if you have grammar mistakes. It shouldn't be that much big or serious. Thank you. And as I have promised, there are two approaches to make our paragraphs in style A and style B. In style A, you see that we write everything on the on the left part, and we have no place to separate anything. Yes, we start directly with the line intro. Imagine you starting your letter or your essay from the word intro. Yes, it's okay. If you do not leave any spaces, you should leave those spaces between bodies. Yeah. Oops. Between bodies, between paragraphs, we have this style A. No need to leave space on from left to right, while you can leave those spaces between paragraphs. Or the other option, the second option, if you leave some space in the intro part, yeah, you see, like putting absatz, we say, it's okay. Then you shouldn't have to leave spaces among those paragraphs, among those bodies, please. But some candidates mix them together, like style A. They leave some spaces in the intro part and they leave the space in the body part as well. No, we should leave space in one part of it. either like style A or style B. It also may cause 1 point losing. Please take it into account. So, and we have mostly 7 types of letters. You should be well aware of those types. Firstly, complaint letter. There is one little secret. In most cases, you are given complaint letters. Believe me, because I have made some statistics, some research on it. So, majority of my students taking all CFR exams. Let's imagine there are 160 or 70 of them got complaint letters. That's why no complaint letters quite well. And then we have request letters, informative letters, where you are asked to give information on something asked, let's say about your workplace and so on. And apology letters, and sometimes it happens. You have some meeting, but you cannot attend it. That's why you should write one letter and apology to the authorities. And thank you letters sometimes, application letters, we have, and invitation letters. But most commonly we have complaint letters, request letters, informative letters. Top 3 of the letters you may be given those days, that day, yeah, on your exam day. And for part 2, we have essays. It's the same with the IELTS exam, part 2, or IELTS general exam, academic exam. We have essay writing. In the essay writing, you are asked to write on one topic. Mostly, yes, you are asked to write to the question, agree or disagree, yes, for opinion essay. Still, you have sometimes 230 to 250, or sometimes 250 word limitation. Please follow the word limitation as well. It also a must. That's why be careful with your words. Always try to count your words at the end when you finish your writing, or during the writing process. It's also okay. So we have 5 million or sometimes 6 million types of essays. You should know well about opinion essay, which is also called agree or disagree essay. And the second mostly given type of essay is discussion essay, where you should discuss about 2 sides of one thing. Or we have advantage or disadvantage essays, problem and solution essays, and the last one, direct question or 2-part question essays. It's sometimes called 2-part question essays. So mostly candidates should be mentally and physically and knowledgeably ready for opinion essays, and sometimes two-way essays, yeah? 2-question essays or direct question essays. Those 2 questions appear mostly in the CFR examination. So how can we write better? How can we have attractive writing? First of all, we should practice part by part. Dear ladies and gentlemen, please do not try to write the whole essay in one try. No, instead of it, separate the essay or letter in parts and master each part separately. Let's take an example of opinion essay. Yes, firstly we should know how to write introduction well, and then we can jump to the body parts. That's why please don't try to take all things at once. Try to practice separately. So introduction first. If you have no mistakes in introduction or at introduction, move to the body part. If you master your body part, and then you can go to the conclusion part. Please don't write the whole essay at once. Then you cannot fully see your mistakes, because there will be lots of things you should think about. While in the practicing part by part, you have more privilege to improve your writing easily. So in a week, improve your introduction part, or in the second week, try body 1, body 2, then, and then conclusion. And try to write one whole essay after that. Thank you. And the second one, make your writing simple. I see lots of candidates, both in the IELTS or CFR examination, they send me their writings when they first start their training with me, and lots of words, lots of things are quite complicated, quite sophisticated sometimes. I cannot understand what they mean because they have used lots of big words. Yeah, we say big words, academic words. No, please, guys. There is one unwritten rule. If the examiner cannot understand your writing, he or she will not give you a satisfactory mark. The examiner should fully understand your writing. Make your writing simple, not your words simple. Yeah, it must be in the line of intermediate or upper intermediate. That's enough. Don't waste your time learning lots of so-called 9 techniques, yeah, for your essays. No, guys, simple is better. That's why do not think of very difficult words. And the third one, read more samples. Yeah, in order to have better insight into a better understanding of the sample writing, please build the habit of reading more samples. Yeah, task 1, task 2 samples. I will tell you at the end some sources where you can find very good samples to read and to get some information. And of course, use appropriate language. Sometimes I see candidates using informal style in their writing, like they mix speaking and writing expressions in their essays or in their letters. That's why, please, whenever you are learning new words, take it from when you are taking it from the, let's say, some channels or somewhere or some sources, please immediately check their language. Is it informal language, or is it suitable for speaking, or it's not appropriate for writing? You should first of all identify it. Please classify them into categories like words for our speaking section, words for letter writing, and words for essay writing, and then it becomes much easier. And please cover everything asked. Do not add anything else. Follow the regulations, follow the instructions given, and please do not, let's say, add something from your own experience, own knowledge, if there is no need for it. Each sentence in the, let's say, in the essay has their own role. The first sentence of your essay should be a topic sentence, yeah, which tells about the whole paragraph of your essay. So write about topic sentence and put full stop. And then second and short sentence should be explanation, supporting part. So explain, support them. Each sentence has their own roles. That's why do not forget to cover everything asked. Thank you. And for this speaking part, the last part of our today's webinar, speaking part. I love this part very much. So the process is the same with the IELTS. Yeah, it has 3 parts like IELTS, contains 10 to 14 minutes, but in the CFR or in the national testing, we have 2 examiners, which also cause some nerves for candidates. One examiner will ask you questions, will give you questions, while the other one completes the notes. In the marking criteria, there are special places where they are asked to fill. Let's say they are putting you 2 for your pronunciation, right? They should prove it by writing something. He mispronounced this word and second word, blah, blah. Or he put 1 for your grammar. They should prove it by writing some examples from your performance. That's why don't be worried. Don't be worried if someone next to your examiner is writing continuously something. Sometimes it causes candidates being demotivated. They say, oh man, I'm making lots of mistakes. I'm done. I cannot have enough marks to pass it. No worries. If your performance is also sorty, they should prove it by some examples. That's why be ready for two examiners, and at the same time you will be recorded on the special camera. On the corner there will be camera as well. So we have three examiners, let's say, yeah? Two people and one camera at the same time. So be mentally prepared for it. Now let's talk about parts one by one. In the part one, I call this part warm up because the examiner mostly asks some questions on their own experience, or I mean the experience of candidates about the place they live, about their hometown, about their work. So this part is warm up part, and you will be given three different topics to speak about, and each topic will ask you to answer 4 questions. So in total, in part 1, you have to answer 12 questions. Part 1 is called warm-up part. That's why don't take your mistakes so seriously if you are making it in the part 1. Part 1 to make you warm, to make the environment you are having. But in the part 2, the situation gets serious, more serious. I call this part talk because you have to talk about one particular topic by answering one cue card. You will be given 1 minute for preparation. You may take notes if you wish, and you have to speak 1 to 2 minutes without stopping. So this part is called a talk because you should literally tell one story to the examiner. That's why you should talk. The examiner won't disturb you until you finish your talk. And that's why this part is a little bit challenging. You should practice it quite a lot by setting some time in front of you, and you should speak 2 minutes. It's okay to finish in 1 minute, but it won't give you that mark for passing your speaking section. That's why bear in mind to finish your speech in 2 minutes. And I have counted it for talking for 2 minutes. You should produce 14 complex sentences. We have counted it, 14 complex sentences, and then you have more chances to finish your speech in 2 minutes. So it's also one hint. And the short part, the most difficult part, discussion, because examiner now can fully join the conversation with you, where you should discuss some given questions. Those questions will be a little bit scientific. That's why we should have lots of ideas and, of course, language appropriate for it. So part 2 and part 3 play a huge role to succeed. That's why be prepared for part 2 and part 3 mostly. Some candidates fully finish part 1 questions, but there is nothing to do with it, please. And that's why do not spend lots of time on part 1. Instead of it, try part 2, try at least 10 topics, and then move to the part 3 questions. So you may take part 1, part 2, part 3 questions from IELTS sources. They are almost the same. We have had some students being asked the same questions from recent IELTS questions. That's why it's totally fine to use them in your preparation. So common mistakes. The first mistake that lots of candidates make, they don't know the format of the test. in the part one, how many sentences they should provide, how much time they can speak on one question. That's why you should know the format. For example, in the part one, you can speak maximum 30 seconds for one question. And of course, you should start with answer, and then you can give some supporting points to reach higher mark. So unlike other exams where you can easily talk, but in our exam you should strictly follow the format. They totally demand you to do so. You should first of all answer the question, and then you should give some supporting points. It's totally okay. So the second one, straying. Straying means going off topic, talking about something else. It may happen sometimes when you are worried, depressed, or sometimes when you don't understand the question fully. That's why do not hesitate to ask your examiner to repeat the question or to clarify the question. It's totally okay. And of course, number three, not speaking for 2 minutes. I have warned you already. And please do not stop, do not pause for long period of time. You may think for 2 or 3 seconds mostly, maximum, not more than it, please, because there is one thing, keeping silence is worse than giving a wrong answer. That's why, please, try to understand and answer the question immediately in no time. Don't waste your time thinking. So, and here again, number four, not having enough ideas. Some candidates are worried. What if I don't have, let's say, the ideas relevant to the topic, that much relevant to the topic, because I am a teacher, they expect me to provide so-called academic ideas, scientific ideas, examples. What happens if I give them childish answers? It's totally okay, because it's speaking test, guys, not thinking test. They are not evaluating your IQ. That's why be relieved. Relief is okay in this part. You can talk in any idea which is relevant to the questions. They just check your knowledge behind your answers, not anything else. Let's say you are 30 years old, but your answer is equal to the 15-year-old teenager, maybe. Yeah, that's totally okay. They don't judge you harshly for giving not serious ideas. And of course, again, grammar and vocabulary here as well. If you make some very minor mistakes, they may forgive you, believe me. If your mistakes are that much serious, then you should correct them immediately before taking your exam. Because some teachers have already built confidence when they have passed their 4 skills from the written exam, and they think I can easily pass the speaking section as well. But sometimes, to my disappointment, they fail at it because they didn't take it seriously. Please take your speaking part also very seriously. So, and final useful tips for today. Sorry, I should move you. My bad. Oops. So, final useful tips for today. When you are doing your test, you will be given around 2 hours and 45 seconds for your written examination. Then please, whenever you are given your question paper, open the last page and read the writing topics. You shouldn't start writing your topics, but anyway, if you are acutely aware of your topic, your brain starts searching for some ideas, like Googling, yes? You may do, let's say, a reading part, but half of your brain will be busy with finding the some relevant ideas, some relevant vocabularies for your for your writing part. That's why number one step, open the last page, read writing questions, and come back to the reading part. So while you are finishing your reading part, you have already had enough ideas to write in the topic, and then you can finish your letter. Yeah. So when you finish your reading parts, you are already ready for presenting some ideas in writing and completing your letter part. So you shouldn't stay in one section for a long time. The only thing you should do, you should finish all easy questions first, which is my second suggestion, second tip for you. You should finish all easy questions. Believe me, there are more than enough easy questions to do. So you may jump from section to section to finish easy questions. And of course, don't be nervous. Forget that it's an exam. Self-confidence is a must that they underestimate your exam. Lots of teachers starting thinking about failure before starting the test. No, don't do that. Think, it's easy. It's an exam. I can pass it like lots of people did. That's why I am in my element. So self-confidence is a rule to success. That's what rule things to success. Be overconfident to yourself. And number 4, yes, writing and speaking. Those parts are quite helpful to score more marks. Yeah, in the writing and speaking sections, you are likely to score 30. It's helpful for those who are taking level checking examinations like B2 and C1. Yes, when people who want to take B2 or C1 exam come to my lessons, we mostly focus on writing and speaking part, because those parts are easy to score higher scores. You have enough chance to be given maximum mark. Yeah, 30 out of 30. That's why writing and speaking should be perfectly fine. So, and contrary to common belief, test is easier than you think, guys. I have seen lots of people, and even I wasn't sure that those people would pass the exam, but they did, which proved that test is easier than we think. That's why try to use right approach, to right strategies, and then you can take that certificate easily. And in terms of materials to use, guys, I don't recommend using IELTS materials like lots of people do, but instead of it, please use first certificate in English materials, FCE. Yes, we have such examination, English examination, FCE, which stands for first certificate. This level is suitable for B2 candidates. But in some cases, I see some questions from FCE books given to the teachers or level checking tests. That's why please try to finish those 5 books. The first one, FCE practice tests extra, and second, 10 FCE practice tests. Third one, skills for certificate. Number 4, mastering the FCE, and the FCE use of English. Use of English is quite appropriate for grammar, lexical and grammar competence. And plus, for error identification, you may practice with TOEFL materials. They have it, error recognition test, they call it. We have another name, error identification. So Google it, you may find lots of materials. Just say TOEFL error recognition practice test, and you will have more than enough. And again, yes, self-promotion. Maybe some of you don't know, but I run two main channels. The first one is PDF books you need. You may search for PDF books you need, and then you will find lots of FCE practice tests. Those 6 practice tests have been put to those channels, PDF books you need, and the second, Fun English with me. In these 2 channels, you will find enough practice tests, enough tips for your CFR examination. I have lots of people, lots of followers who thanked me because they didn't attend any courses but by practicing all tests I have uploaded, they were able to pass the exam. That's why. And second one, Fun English with me. If you search for the word CFR there, you will find around 600, believe me, 600 posts regarding this examination. So just go that channel and search for CFR. 600 posts will be enough to get better insight into your examination. So in my channel, again, I have to warn you to not to stray. Yes, going there. You should find 5 things from my channels. The first one, CFR writing task 1, letter writing. There I have gathered all necessary information about letter writing for 6 types. And plus we have B2 letters. If you search for B2 letters, I forgot to include it here. You will find one special file in which you have all letters with explanation and samples. And the second one, if you search for error identification tests, you will find around 100 tests I compiled myself, or even some recent questions, actual questions for this particular question test. And again, lexical and grammar competence test, search for it again. And I have, if I'm not mistaken, 15 mock tests there for B1, B2, C1. So you may try yourself for B2. It's also completely appropriate for salary bonus test and FCE test. So dear followers, this is all I have to tell you today, but still I have quite enough things to share with you. Maybe in the future, in the long run, we will have another session, and then we will dive into each section more deeply, because in 1 hour it was a little bit difficult to talk about everything. That's why I have to touch on some main points only. So if you had any misunderstandings, misconceptions, sorry for that. And at the end, when we start question and answer session, you may ask your questions. So that's all. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your patience as well. That was all I have to tell. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you very much. I guess this webinar was not only informative but also very productive, right? So we have some questions here. Fulkaroy is asking, during the time of pandemic, what are the terms of taking those exams? Have you heard anything about it, Daniel?
Yeah, I have heard about one news. All tests are supposed to start from September again. Luckily, they will announce it officially. So we are expecting it from September anyway.
They are asking if they are online or offline.
Offline, yeah, probably offline.
So we are waiting for news, of course, right? So, and another question: what can you advise for CFR instructors? I mean, Shahroz Nurmetov meant how they should prepare their students. Do you have any advice to CFR instructors?
Yeah, first of all, they should finish all those 6 suggested books, yeah? FCE. then you will understand the full information about teaching process. Then they can create their own teaching method, I think. And of course, the recent mock tests, the recent questions are good guidance for them. Because I have started from this point, I downloaded one mock test from the official site, and then I understand I should teach my students to these things and those things.
Yeah, thank you very much, Donior. And I myself know that all the materials you are providing, not only for teachers, but also your students, are really productive because you are a very passionate teacher who is not ever lazy to design any materials, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
His materials are really productive and useful, and people are thanking you. Yeah, you have just said about official website. Can you tell us which web page is that?
Yeah, it's NSFL.
Uh-huh.
NSFL.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this one.
You mean our official site in
Site.
Uzbekistan, right?
Yes, this one.
So we are looking forward to getting new materials in your channel. Hilola Karima
Sure.
is writing. Yeah, they are all saying it. Thank you very much, Donior, for your time and consideration.
Yeah.
We are very sure that this webinar was really fruitful for everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much. But can I ask some more questions that we have on YouTube?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Ziodam is saying why national testing assessment is more difficult than the international testing system. And I received a similar question to my email where somebody asked you, yeah, like they had a IELTS, they took IELTS test, and then no, first they took the CEFR test and then the IELTS. So it turned out they have better score in IELTS than in CEFR. So what's, in your opinion, what are the levels of difficulties if you compare these two exams?
Yeah, exactly. I myself was asked about this question quite a lot of times.
Yeah,
As
I
I,
can imagine.
yeah, as I outlined before, it requires critical thinking, which lots of people lack, to my regret these days. In the comparison with IELTS, in the IELTS you have direct right answers. Yeah, like in the part one, you should write down everything you listen in the part one. But unfortunately, in CFR exam, you have to think critically for 70%. That's why if you are accustomed to this format and you do lots of practice tests, it becomes easier. That's why don't mix those tests with each other, please.
It might be styles are different, right? It depends,
Yeah.
right? Okay. There is another question about the part 3 speaking. They're asking, should a speaker retell exactly as it is in the text, or can they summarize the text without details?
Yeah, there is no need for retelling as they are given. They should paraphrase, they should include their own opinions as well, which examiner expects from them.
And one more question, is salary bonus test similar to B2 or B1 plus?
A motivation for teachers, it's a little bit easier than B2.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, Saudat, would you like to read out the question that we got in the chat room?
Jasur Hassanov is asking, is Russian EDE relevant and useful for CFR based exam preparation?
Yeah, it's for B1. FCE for B2.
Okay.
Can I ask you another question, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Aslanov, glad to see you here on my screen, and thank you for brilliant ideas. So I just want to know, is there anything approved material, like for example for IELTS, there is Cambridge test designing center, yeah, but so far I haven't found anything official for our CFR preparation. Only all materials are designed by IELTS or CFR instructors. So, as you know, for example, Cambridge Testing Design Center, so publish their books every year. For example, we got 15 of them at this practice test. Do they have the same for CFR or not? It's interesting for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. In fact, we have, it's Kamal Jalilev's book in the red cover. It's easy to find, only in the paper based, not electronic ones, I think. And I have heard that our authorities who make tests are working on those guidance, like Cambridge 1, 2, 3, 15, and they are planning to include 4 tests like Cambridge IELTS does the same, but from next year, I hope.
Yeah, actually, this book is really handy. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
thank you.
Any questions? No. Thank you very much for productive webinar. And we will be waiting for fresh materials designed by you in the future, of course. Never get tired. Dirapa?
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone for your participation. Thank you for our host, Saudat, for moderating the event. And of course, special thanks to our speaker today, Danior. I think, it helped us to clarify lots of points regarding this exam, which myself didn't have a clue about. So yeah, thank you so much. And the dear participants, if you want to get certificates, please write to our Telegram channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting. See you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.